Hi, greetings. It's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and this is the third video in my entrepreneurial series. And we're talking about laying down the groundwork for your business and getting some business ideas generated, and then being able to evaluate your ideas so that you can have a successful business. So I want you to really listen in this third video on how to choose the right business. I'm going to give you some ideas and a systemic way for you to generate new business ideas if you want to be in business for yourself. So it really is important for you to find the right business that where you're looking at potential threats properly, and that you're looking at whether or not it's really going to work for you in the longer run. Here's a suggested approach to developing a quality business idea. So one, first list and evaluate your own personal skill sets. What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? Secondly, carefully analyze the market. Look for gaps or some things that may have a niche that needs are not being yet met. And then finally, compare your ability to fill those gaps with the opportunities that are available to you. So you really need to do a skills analysis. You must have the necessary skills and also an in-depth understanding to build a long-term competitive advantage. And then you need to use synergy. And so synergy is the connection between the entrepreneur's skills and understanding an industry, and the ability to create a competitive advantage where the sum of the parts is greater than the individual parts. So that really is key to success. Are you going to synergize and be able to be the right person to bring that business into fruition and then keep it running successfully? You have to do a skills analysis, and we each have our own idiosyncratic skills, and we have to really be very keyed into those skills by looking at and identifying our hobbies, our education, our work experiences, and family history. Each of those things will help us really be able to recognize who we are and what we have to contribute. Hobbies and activities are so important to take a look at, because if we are doing these things on a regular basis, it probably means that we enjoy it. And if you want to be in business, you've got to be able to enjoy what it is that you do. And they might actually give you specific skills that help you be good at running a particular business. You know, look at the products or services that you've used. What kinds of lessons have you learned in working in your hobby? What excites you specifically about that hobby? And what activities is it that you do on a regular basis? So those are just a few questions. You may find that even if, like, you're a fisherman or something, that it approaches the way that you see the world or how you do things, or it may show you that what you really prefer doing. Your education is almost a no-brainer. You know, if you think about the classes that you took, you know, what materials came easy to you. You know, usually when we're interested in things, we get better and better at doing those things, and classes kind of flush out the what it is that we're good at or maybe meant to do. Have you attended any unusual education programs? These might give you special skills. What specialized training have you had? And if you could do it all over again, what areas would you pursue now? You know, as far as work experience, sometimes you might be able to do something even better or work as a consultant in an area of a company that you've worked in before. What are those businesses that you've worked at? What skills were critical to the jobs that you perform? What positions have you held within those positions? And in what areas would you be considered an expert in? What kinds of things did you really enjoy? Or what things frustrated you in the positions you held? You know, those kinds of questions and answers might help you figure out exactly what works well. You know, what things excited you? Family is another thing that may be an often overlooked source of skills for your new business? Does your family history include new business ventures? What types of travel or vacations does your family enjoy? What skill sets exist within your family? And what are the financial resources that are within your family? And are there unique things that your family does that other people may be interested? What types of skills are in your family? And so here's some ideas. What additional skills? What are the top 3 personal skills that you possess? What things do you like doing best each day of the week? In your past, which 1 or 2 things did you most enjoy? What kind of magazines or books do you read? What are the 3 greatest accomplishments and skills that are involved in those accomplishments? Do you enjoy working with people? Do you prefer working alone? What industry, like retail, wholesale, manufacturing, service, would you prefer to work in? There's a few more questions for you. What goal is there that helps you really understand your abilities that you possess? Do you prefer to work with people or not? Do you have intense detail orientation? Are you trained in an area in which you want to work? And so you got to do a gap analysis from here on out. This is a relatively simple process of systemically examining the difference or gap between what is expected and what occurs. One type of gap analysis, also called opportunity analysis, examines opportunities in the workplace with a side-by-side approach to looking at an individual's ability to address those gaps. Some potential businesses have trends. You might be able to interview successful local entrepreneurs and discuss ideas with your family members. Look for creative opportunities. Do some brainstorming and look at daily frustrations. Also take a look at the U.S. Patent Office. Here's some ideas for you to find potential businesses. Then you need to do an initial analysis. Potential entrepreneurs often have several ideas, but they really need to identify just one. You need to do an in-depth analysis, which may lead to scrapping the other ideas and then starting over. You got to do an analysis which requires you to have focus, time, and money. And so really look at these 3 aspects: focus, time, and money. And then focus must be on one idea at a time. So you only have so much time to do things. So the more focus you have, the better results you get. And then you need to make sure you do a gap analysis. So let's talk about the gap analysis. How do you decide that a sufficient business opportunity exists and that you have the resources necessary to take advantage of that opportunity? You can do this by creating a list of 3 to 5 ideas, then developing a chart that examines issues that might impact success. That's your gap analysis. So let me give you an example. So maybe you have 3 business ideas, and one business idea is a print shop where you create high quality commercial prints. 2 might be a flower shop. Maybe you have family history with flowers. Or maybe it's a restaurant. You like fast food and you want to own your own business. So you got to really take a look at things related to finance, time, non-financial, risk, and then competitors. And as you look at those things, you have to also analyze your resources that you currently have and the resources that would be required, and then analyze the deficit. So let's talk about these things a little bit. So the first one is finances. What financial resources do you have that can be realistically committed to this venture? How much money could you raise on a short notice? These are 2 really good questions to ask about. Time is another one. Your resources include how much time you can dedicate to starting a new venture. What other time commitments have you made? Does your family support your effort? As for time, what business operation hours would you have? And then how many additional hours would be needed to manage the operation? And then, of course, when would you sleep? Non-financial resource could be, just about anything. You're going to have to create your list. It could be special contacts, suppliers, customer groups, physical location. These are just a few. How many of these could you get on short order? What really is required to start this business? And then risk is that thing that I talked about in the previous video. How aggressively do you need to be in order to grow a successful business? Is there a competitive advantage? And what kind of limiting factors to growth are out there? You really have to be sensible when you're assessing risk. When looking at risk, there really are three things. One, threats to profit. Not being able to achieve a profit sufficiently to allow the business to attain substantial returns. That's a really big one. Some people think they have good ideas, but they really don't think about the profit margin. If you're starting a restaurant, how much are things going to cost? What would it cost for you to be able to sell that? And would you be able to make a high enough profit because enough people would be interested in buying that product at that particular price? What kind of threats are there out there to generating sales? Not being able to generate sufficient sales may keep you from being profitable. And then finally, third is the threat to operational financing. Not obtaining enough financing to operate the firm is a big one. So finance, time, non-financial resources, risk, and then competitors are the other thing. And as you look at each of these things, create a table where you're weighing these things out. How high, medium, and low is your deficit? If your deficit is low because you have access to those resources, it probably is a pretty good scale to help you determine whether or not you should take the risk and start making the investment of your time and resources. So do the gap analysis. Really take a look at these different areas that we've just talked about and start generating ideas to help you see whether or not that business really is viable or not. If you've got a dream, you can make it happen, but you really need to know what to look at, and where you focus your time and energies and resources, that's where you get your results. Alright, I know I've given you a lot of information in this 13-minute video. I appreciate your time, and I hope that you have a great day, because only you get to choose how you feel about it. I'm Dr. Paul.